talk about StarCraft, because we finally have the best of 5 ready to go. In the top right on Ancient Cistern, it is Team Liquid's Clem. And in the bottom left for Team BIG, it is ShoWTimE. Just refusing to give them their due credit. Just stays on the clan Stormgate. That's fine. He does still, I think, do the required amount of streaming hours with the overlay, so that's good. The amount of teams that are bowing out of esports recently is really quite shocking. I mean, it's shocking in the sense of sad. Not shocking in the sense of who could have seen this coming. Many people could have seen this coming. But yeah. Yeah, so I'm like extra appreciative of some of the, especially bigger teams holding on to StarCraft players. And to my knowledge, Berlin International Gaming is a fairly big team. Team Liquid is obviously a big team. No need to talk about them too much. But anyways, SCV was sent out very quickly and right up against that wall. ShoWTimE did not opt for any type of Reaper wall off on this map because it's impossible, I think. There's too much Reaper wall. So, doesn't see it. Is only now going to notice the absence of a barracks at Clem's home and might check it immediately afterwards. It's the most obvious spot because it's the most brutal spot. It's the most effective. Reaper gets up there on the high ground immediately. But sometimes, because the Terran doesn't want it to be scouted, the obvious spot can be the not obvious spot. They know that I know that they know. No, it actually looks like ShoWTimE's not even going to bother really scouting for it. Use this probe to scout for any gotchas, because the probe's not going to return home safely anyways. It's going to get sniped by the Reaper, but otherwise not going to look for it. It's already past the time in which he could kill the SCV building it, obviously. So just a proper response micro-wise is what's in order. Unfortunately, with the Reaper being so damn close. I mean, Clem did not hold back at all with that positioning. It really has a lot of time to do damage. ShoWTimE showing some excellent micro, but still loses a probe. Still stopping himself from losing 2 is... Gotta give applause for that, honestly. That's... And you're facing Clem's Reaper micro. So, actually, that's pretty cool. That's pretty freaking cool. Second probe technically going to be gotten, because that is the scouting probe that did not safely return home. And Clem only dedicated to 1 Reaper, so 2 probes is okay, I guess. And a follow-up into a Wouldn't Mind drop. ShoWTimE has been loving the Stargate in this matchup recently, so I would not be surprised to see all 5 games go into Stargate. When he was facing Here Marine last week, I believe, I was a little bit critical, you know, because I do think that there might be something to a defensive Protoss playstyle being a little bit worse. It's not that it's laughably bad and everyone point and laugh, of course. It's just, it might be a little bit worse than the top tier players with, woo! Glad I get the subs. With the aggressive style, but yeah, this usually for ShoWTimE goes into a macro game. So like a 2-base Colossus. He can change it up, but that's what he was doing a lot. And I thought it wasn't really working out. He went up 2-0 against him, but then ShoWTimE almost brought it back. He brought it to game 5. Still ended up losing the series, but I kind of had to eat my words a little bit. You know, it obviously works for ShoWTimE. It's obviously what he's very confident in and comfortable with. And he once again is doing that. The Oracle into Twilight Council. Not into Phoenix. Oh, he's going to cancel the Twilight Council and go into Robo. Because my main point was he doesn't go into Phoenix. And if he does go into Phoenix, I think it is usually Phoenix Colossus. So Oracle into Twilight Council for Blink in a standard 3-base build also would have been fine. But it is going to be some Phoenix. But it is also with Colossus. So that does seem to be the 2 choices. Phoenix Colossus or Oracle into Blink. Which, you know, completely takes away the fear of a 4-gate. Oh, the natural got hit! I'm hit! 8 probes go down in total, and the medevac might be able to escape. Thank you very much to Brinks88 for the 20 gifted subs, by the way. Damn. Oracle doing nothing to help out in return. Clem already giving himself a satisfactory lead in this game. That Wouldn't Mind drop was also capable of scouting the actual intent of ShoWTimE, which was in fact Colossus, so he wasn't bamboozled about the Twilight Council for very long. Oracle finally gets some revenge, but like, woohoo, 2 SCVs, yeah! And it's gonna die. It's gonna die. ShoWTimE not having the best start to this series. It's trying to make some magic happen with 3 units. Whole 3 units on the front lines. Woo. Clem is not willing to let that one go. He's like, nope, nope, come on, come here. The Phoenix do make an appearance, but even they cannot stop Clem from continuing to get little bits of damage. Clem saves all of his units, ShoWTimE a little less so, and takes major hull damage on a Phoenix. Which is still better than losing it, of course, but that is very weak for later on. And ShoWTimE, as I said, is still in a bit of trouble. 10 probes in total lost. Yeah, Clem did hit his own economy by doing a proxy expand, but it's just not really comparable between the 2 races. Especially when, theoretically, the Protoss isn't supposed to take damage. It's supposed to take one probe per Wood of Mine damage. ShoWTimE. Capable of bringing this back, for sure. For sure. Steady as she goes. Colossus. Sent Thermalance. A couple more Phoenix. Gonna lose out in the detection and can't really afford the time on the road to build another observer. It's not strictly necessary either, I suppose. The Phoenix could be doing some scouting, but then if they're scouting, they're not protecting against the drop, and the Oracle was really supposed to be the scouter, and it died. So it just kind of sucks. Clem's first push, I don't imagine will end the game, but the shield battery's not done. Colossus is snipeable. Is that how it's gonna go down? Colossus is down, Phoenix are down, Immortal doesn't really have a lot to fire on, honestly. And yeah, that actually was the end of it. GG. I blame the shield battery, personally. Yeah, tough game for ShoWTimE, who also was trying to be a little bit tricky and then at no point ever got anything surprising in his favor. If Clem hadn't followed up with a Wood of Mine drop immediately, which is a fairly common follow-up, but definitely not the only one, then he doesn't scout that it's a cancel Twilight Council and, I don't know, runs face first into Colossus thinking it's going to be Charge Stalker or something. Obviously doesn't kill 10 probes if he doesn't Wood of Mine drop. In the bottom right of Dragon Scales, it is Clem, now up 1. In the top left, it is ShoWTimE. Most recently, Clem has defeated ShoWTimE twice, 3-0 and 2-1. Before that, ShoWTimE defeated Clem twice. Before that, it was Clem favored. In general, Clem is favored against ShoWTimE. 46 and 29 in matches for their entire history. And that does include a time in which Clem was certainly not the Clem we know today. So, say 2020 was really the time of Clem's awakening. If you only went from that stat, Clem would have an even higher win percentage against ShoWTimE. And Clem is once again going to go for a proxy barracks, not nearly as close to ShoWTimE's base, but even with it being so audacious, it actually did not do a whole lot of damage. I'm still a bit surprised by that. How did it not kill more than 1 probe? Because the scouting probe doesn't count. Alright, so ShoWTimE's gonna know once again that it is a proxy, and he's gonna roll his eyes and be like, oh, that's cool, Terran's cool. And he's really not bothered by this. And this should, you know, ideally this should result in 0 probes killed. Oh, it's a Marine! He's gonna be a cheeky boy. Cheeky boy. So, with the Marine coming out, you do have the gas for a factory. If this was a Reaper, the factory probably still wasn't up yet, right? I'm thinking literally about the probe scout timing. If you're wondering where the hell I'm going with this. If ShoWTimE doesn't get a second scout, he won't know if the factory is proxied or not. I think he left before it actually would have been built if it was a Reaper, but now he sees that it wasn't a Reaper. So then would the factory have been on the high ground if it was a more usual follow-up? Questions answered very quickly. ShoWTimE able to see that everything is proxied. That is a amazing scout. Clem, usually not one to do this cheeky of a build. Very few Terrans do all proxied. I think Spirit does it occasionally with his Widowmine Thor cheese, and that's been it. You know, it's not 2018 anymore, guys. Was this gonna go into a Hellion drop? I'm not even sure what Clem's plan was, because he's gonna have to adapt to thrive. It is gonna go into Hellion drop. Guys, what if he had a tech labs and a fusion core? He's not. Coward. Add the fusion core. Do it. Do a flip. Be cool. No, it's going to be a Hellion drop and then I guess a Marine push? Oh, a Marine. Oh, into a Widowmine drop. Okay, and then into a Thor drop? Do it. Coward. I think this actually will go into a Thor drop. Push, drop, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That's the nice thing about a 1-1-1 setup, isn't it? It's like the world is your oyster. Really well-positioned shield battery because the pylon was well-positioned. His pylon wasn't going to be in the natural in time, so that was nicely done. Clem's attack thus far not being particularly good. Now, he knows his opponent's gone into Phoenix. ShoWTimE knows his opponent's gone into Reactored Factory, which most likely is going to be Widowmines, making more Hellions at this point. It's not going to get you very far. Okay, Clem's not going to do the Thor follow-up. J'accuse, coward. I hope he never watches this. I just want to be clear he's not. I'm just kidding. I'm just memeing. The Widowmine drop is not going to be affected by looks of it either. That Phoenix should be paying attention. ShoWTimE is paying attention. Medevac's already injured from earlier. Widowmine should be picked up easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And Clem has not suddenly become the cheese master, which is funny because he's French and they're known for their cheese. But I would call this opening a solid 1 out of 10. I'm giving it a 1 just because. But really, it's a 0. Oh, Widowmine's the natural. I didn't see them, but fortunately ShoWTimE did. And the medevac will not be able to pick them up. They have been revelated. That's a word. Don't come at me. And so they will all die. And Clem's build continues to be a 1 out of 10, if that. He's in a lot of trouble. ShoWTimE, while not having a lot of his own units, still has more impactful units than what Clem has if these Widowmines are taken care of, which is the tough part right now. Clem knows he's in trouble if he just lets this army walk across the map, so a little bit of buffer, I guess. Okay, another revelation on the Widowmines takes them out. Proxy pylon going for some slow warp-ins. ShoWTimE might not be a cheese master himself, but he knows an opportunity when he sees one. And this was a wide open opportunity. GG. Should have done the battlecruiser build, I'm telling you, man. ShoWTimE just would not have expected it, okay? Phoenix killing a battlecruiser? Nah. But this is a perfect place to try and change up your style and do some weird-ass builds. Because it's not ladder, which is really easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm not even really interested in this. It is just enough importance and prestige, especially against, you know, other very top-tier players, to actually want to try and be working it out, theorizing and executing it well. Now, Clem might have done that and then immediately crossed it off his notebook. He's like, nope, 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 definitely nope, nope, never gonna do that again. But he might try it again in some other small tournament or on the ladder, and it might work. It'd certainly have a higher chance of working if ShoWTimE didn't scout it so quickly. Now tied up 1-1. Bottom left, Clem. Top right, ShoWTimE. Who the hell proxies a tank? Yep. Total biscuit. Said that at a time which people were not proxying all that often, but eventually around 2018, I believe it was the year of 2018, TVP meta was very, very proxy heavy. I believe it was a Maru SOS series or something that people were really hyped about, and Maru was supposed to win BlizzCon that year, like all the other years. And he just cheesed SOS. Was it SOS? It was some other Protoss. And it was just the stupidest games, and they were all over super quick. And I think he got 3-0'd too. But that was the meta. I mean, he wasn't just trying to throw the game away. It's a different time period. And in this time period, we need a little bit of uncertainty to make those types of proxies actually work. And ShoWTimE didn't just get the first scout, he also got the second scout to see a reactor on the factory. So he really had a clear idea of what this was going to be. So you did it, you tried it, it didn't work, it failed, but it's better to try than to never do anything at all. It's a life lesson there, guys. Command center on the way for Clem, dealing with some probe harassment. ShoWTimE probably going to continue going into his Stargate builds. He has loved them. He is having a serious love affair with Stargates. And since he saw there was a fast reactor, he knew this probe could be a real bother, so that's why he's being so insistent here. I wanted to see if you could see the factory timing, perhaps, or a second barracks timing, maybe. You know, we can tell that actually would not have been possible, but I guess it's worth scouting. Oh, he wants to scout with its Marines, but save the probe, and he did. Nice. And now it's going to be a Reaper. Clem not going to totally disregard scouting. There's a Stargate. Oh, I called it. Oh, I called it. ShoWTimE is capable of doing some adept Oracle harassment, so it's not always super passive, but with an Oracle coming out, we're just gonna wait for another 100 gas to see if it's Twilight Council or Phoenix. Adept shading in, sees no bunker, but since the Marine count has been building kind of aggressively for the early game, Adept pressure is not going to do a lot against someone just with so many Marines. Plus a Cyclone's on its way eventually. But it is a Cyclone. It looks like Clem might be defaulting to it being a Stargate because ShoWTimE has done it, seriously, all of his games. I'm pretty sure he's gone Stargate. All of his PPTs. That's, so the default Cyclone looked like. He is also getting a medevac, so he also might just be looking to be a bit of an aggressor himself. It is going to be a second Oracle, which is the option C that I didn't expect. Oracle's going to get taken down. Nice positioning of the Marines, which were also purposefully in transit, so that was maybe also a bit of luck. And ShoWTimE is going to have to defend against a bit of a push. Shield battery's coming up. Oracle is going to return home, the help of a little bit of the pulsar beam. It's helpful. And the Phoenix is coming out too. If ShoWTimE was way greedier, then this could be problematic. But ShoWTimE did get that scout. And with enough time on altitude to drop the shield battery, it's not a huge concern. Yeah. Oracle taking some hull damage. Pylon is not targetable by the Marines. The Cyclone's being blocked out anyway, so I don't know about that one. Not enough units for the Protoss to take this comfortably, especially with reinforcements coming in. Second Cyclone really turning this into a very one-sided battle. ShoWTimE is right to skedaddle. Right up into that shield battery. Save me, save me. I am quite amused by this certain army composition trying to tear down buildings. They'll do it eventually. You know, it's just that the same as a tank fire in a way. Once again, Cyclones getting a lock on, actually denied the kill. Thanks to the Phoenix lifts. Good use of the Phoenix, but all the Phoenix have died. The Oracle dies, Stalkers will go down, Adepts will go down, Cyclone die. There you go. And overall, that's a pricier trade for ShoWTimE, who has also been denied his third base the entire time. I mean, not that... Oh, he was planning on getting one. So there, yeah, so he's been also forced to be a little later than that. Clem did trade out some units and built, you know, 2 Cyclones that would have fallen off eventually anyways. But just again, the Terran gets to get to where they want to go, I think, quicker here. So you can actually check the resources lost. Yeah. Unfavorable to the Protoss, not substantially in terms of resource trades, but that amount of gas is a kick in the nuts. It's more about the Phoenix buildup, which I'm sure if you turn over to the Roddy stream right now, he would be crying. Tears falling down his face. Because Phoenix are expensive units, and they are only good in at least 3+. Ideally, something like 5. So, they're supposed to be units that never die. And they died. You know, that's problematic. So ShoWTimE once again finding himself in a problematic defense of his third base, similar to the first game. Second game, just get that out of your mind. But it is altitude, and it takes a little longer for the Terrans to engage. Shield battery is ready this time, which was really one of the big mistakes of the first game. The Colossus is not ready. There you are, there you are. Nexus is going to get some damage on its hull, and in fact could be targeted at this point. Shield by overcharge pop to save the day. And it will save the Nexus, but I'm worried still. A little bit of a concave. Medivac's healing up. More Marauders coming forward. Okay, okay. Will be good enough. Will be good enough. But that was concerning. Now the Nexus is still targetable for future attacks or drops. Clown at third base turned into an orbital. Still only behind 5 workers, which with 2 mules being dropped is not near enough to really feel comfortable for the Protoss. The Protoss with the Colossus build can feel a little bit like, you know, slow going is okay. But again, those loss of the Phoenix, 5 have been lost in this game. It's taking a portion of his composition completely away. It's a very incomplete Protoss that we're looking at right now. And Clem might have the struggles that he had versus Skillus in actually killing this guy. To Colossus, trying to abuse the ramp whenever possible. It's not as easy as that map he was playing versus Skillus. What was that map? Well, anyways, because he has to run away from the shield battery. Oh, it was, Gudesvon. So these ramp can't be abused without the Protoss army eventually having to back away. And when they back away, they're not quite up to the shield battery. It's a, you know, it's a second, but it's an important one. But yeah, the rest of the map, the size of it, I think is keeping Clem from being able to build on the momentum. And it's not incorrect to chill. Just build up the Ghosts and the Vikings. He does have a stronger economy. Literally, it is just stronger. And he does have map control, which is especially important on a map like this. And he's going to have a 1-1 upgrade lead over his opponent, too. ShoWTimE now, you know, comfortable living. He's alive. Does afford double forge and double upgrades, so he'll eventually make up for that. But with Clem already combining together his Viking count, already at 10, by the way, that's perfect against the 3 Colossus, and his EMPs. Now it's the Disruptor's job to really do the work, and I'm not sure that they will. Only 2 of them, after all. Scan reveals a potentially fragile army. Fragile army. Fragile. no attacks on this side of the map, too. ShoWTimE has no Zealot run-bys, no Warp Prism heading into the main base. Clem, arguably in more of his elements than ShoWTimE, just because Clem is a bit favored here. ShoWTimE is usually great at defending. He's called the wall for a reason, but Clem is overall favored, and he gets to focus entirely on engaging his opponent with his upgrade lead still available, with his army borderline perfect. It's just not maxed out quite yet. 1 disruptor shot, 2 disruptor thought, 3 disruptor thought. They're all gone now. They're all gone. Shield about to overcharge, also about to dissipate. Blink is also not done, but the Stalkers are under there anyways. So far, so good on ShoWTimE's saving his Colossus, but now the Nexus is going to get targeted. That did take a couple of shots. Clem is not going to be able to win the fight at this point, especially because his Viking numbers were thinned out without killing a single Colossus. That was well handled. As well handled as it possibly could be. And if his Nexus had any more health, he would not have lost it. But Clem also would not have targeted it, which did cause him to increase his chances of not winning the fight, I suppose. But I think it really came down to those Vikings. The Vikings not being able to kill 1 Colossus right off the bat is already a disappointment to Terrans, honestly. So many of the engagements at this point in time kill a Colossus right off the bat. So now ShoWTimE has evened up the upgrades, has Blink, 4th base is done. Has a moment here as he comes across the map with an even army supply. Disruptor is still in tow. Now 5 of them. 6 of them on the front lines, actually, but here comes a surround. Clem setting it up, but he's not going to be able to deliver the product. Has to split a little bit more, and that is going to slow down what was looking like that big old swamp opportunity. It turns into just more of a chase, which is still effective for the Terran as he chases down many of these disruptors. Viking number is still high enough to take down Colossus. The Stalkers have bigger fish to fry, and overall, ShoWTimE's counterattack is leading to disaster. The fact that he did eventually run out of disruptors and he was forced to go over this weird island thingy in the middle of the map really made his retreat the worst possible retreat. And I actually think none of the Terrans are as quick. Not to say that they're worse for not being as quick. They're very, very efficient, but I do believe none of the Korean Terrans are mind-numbingly fast. And Maru might have been at one point, but he had to, you know, he grew old and his wrists are injured. No. In the bottom right it is Clem, top left it is ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE almost bringing it back, but then, well, making the fatal mistake of taking a bad fight. And Clem also showcasing how well prepared he was for that counterattack. If it was only his army in the middle of his 3 bases, that was only his army. His only army. Then ShoWTimE is absolutely correct to continue engaging. It was that army off the left side that made ShoWTimE realize he had to back away. The way that he was capable of backing away led to the demise of his disruptors, and then, in general, a split of his army that was unideal. AI'd. Landscaped, whatever you want to call it. Terrained. So ShoWTimE is on his last life in this finals. Clem, as I've been saying, has been favored. He's generally favored against ShoWTimE. And most recently favored against ShoWTimE. And Clem's also looking to continue adding on to his cup medals. Let's actually go ahead and check and see how far away he is from overtaking here, Marine. Shall we? Let's go ahead. In Europe, medals won by player. Overview, not season. Overview. Let's watch the Reaper. That's the SCV. Here Marine has 56. Clem has 44. So he still needs to win 22-12. Don't do math on stream. 12 open cups, which I think is extremely possible. Probable. I think that will happen this year. I actually do believe. I will say it right here and now. The beginning of StarCraft 2's 23-24 season, Clem will overtake Kia Marine's medal count. You heard it here first, guys. Thank you, Blues Clock, for the 29 months. Clem got outed in Pig's tournament, secret player tournament by APM alone. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure who is faster, but I think the contenders are Raynor versus Clem. Again, Cyril is also pretty freaking fast, but it's gotta be one of them. Another Stargate opener for our boy ShoWTimE. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It might be a little broke, but that's not the issue. Don't worry about it. Last game started off with a little bit more question marks. With Clem doing his push out, ShoWTimE had to rearrange his build and figure it out on the fly after losing his first Oracle too. So it started bad and it got worse. And then Clem's micro got to shine in those engagements. So ShoWTimE pretty much just wants to not let that happen. He's going to go into a fast third base off of this Stargate, not directly into a Twilight Council afterwards. Which makes me worried about his reaction to these Marines. His hallucination? Did he hallucinate? Wait. He must have just whipped in that Sentry. Yeah. His fresh Sentry. He doesn't even have a fourth field yet. Yeah, okay. Oh, wait, 75 now. No, wait. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. That was 50. That took a second. All right, we're good. Pulsar Beam helps out a lot. We're good. Little existential knowledge crisis for me, though. Oh, you know what? Force field's never been changed in energy. I was so bamboozled by it not just immediately appearing at 50 energy that I confused it with the Raven. You don't have to be smart to be a commentator. Third CC up here for Clem is a good thing for him, because that Marine attack wasn't super helpful. Need to just lose 3 SCVs to the Oracle. That was, I think, the first time ShoWTimE saw the third CC. He also managed to see the timing of the rest of the structures too. So notably no starport. It is now on the way, but just that gives you a good idea as to when the Terran will actually begin to attack. And they have medevacs. And ShoWTimE did not play an overly defensive, safe build. That would have been all too expected from him. So as he takes a fast third base, deflects the Marine push, and sees his opponent's also going into a third base, he's probably saying, oh, good thing I did what I did. Yeah, maybe that wasn't his first scout on the third CCM, but it must have been. Did he play Sentry first? Did he hallucinate? Oh my god. So I was right. Ah! Chat. Being better commentators for this particular game. Okay, so he did go Sentry first, hallucinated, saw the third CC, and then had enough to defend. Okay. It doesn't change the end result, but that might explain why he did so courageously take his third Nexus. I would never expected a Sentry first, though. I was absolutely not paying attention. I was talking about numbers and getting math incorrect on stream. So yeah, the end result is what you're seeing before you, which unfortunately for ShoWTimE loses an Oracle. But fortunately, 3-base saturation going into Colossus. Colossus Phoenix Charge. Not that many Phoenix, just enough to guard against some drops. This Phoenix Charge is more of a one-punch composition. Clem is on, of course, 3 bases. Now fully producing as well. Oh, waiting for his additional unit structures. How many observers we got? 2 observers. Placed specifically to see an incoming attack on that top side. And with a couple of Phoenix, I mean, just a couple. It's about to be 3, but just a few. Theoretically, he's not supposed to worry about this side. I mean, he has to react if he sees something, but theoretically, he's probably okay keeping his army over here. Zealot run by. It's a good idea. Timing's not perfect, though, and gets hit by a wouldn't mind. Gonna recall out, probably... Oh, yeah, he saw the army coming back with the observer, so he knew those would be trapped. helping chatters have better observing skills. So now ShoWTimE takes a 4th base. Now he has to be in multiple places at once. And he doesn't have the world of vision here. He's got this observer, which is really nicely placed, but then he does lose track of the army off to the left. So let's be a little concerned. A lot of his army just got dragged over to the right side, perhaps thinking that this army was either going to commit or thinking he could find it and kill it. But that does leave his left side completely open. ShoWTimE just a little bit late to identifying that's what's happening. Does lose a handful of probes and is starting to get a little out-positioned, but looks like he's taken the steering wheel back. It's back in his control. That was a moment of concern, but ShoWTimE's okay. Now his 4 bases will be up. Blink and +2 are on the way. Clem perfecting his composition. He's got Vikings and the Ghost on the way. Should be maybe 4th base? Oh, it's done. Well, there you go. And then an armory, because his upgrades will start to fall behind. Now we wait. Now we wait for a max out. I would suspect. ShoWTimE feeling so confident in his map vision. The Phoenix are now even. I guess just he's just swapping what's scouting. The Observer's up here, his army's up here, and now the Phoenix scout down on the left. Okay, fair enough. And Warp Prism even doing technically a little bit of extra scouting, but primarily looking to harass the main base of his opponent. Ooh, I like this. Oh, he could place a factory literally right on top of it. In general, the idea of putting a missile turret there is really nice. But I like the idea that the factory could maybe hide it too. Just cause. Sims killed the adept. Missile turret did finish, but I don't think it ever kills the Warp Prism, first of all, and then I think it might have finished a little later. But it, clearly giving vision as well. Good response, quick response from Clem. Pretty much perfect response with the Viking in tow to make sure the Warp Prism dies. +2 versus 1-1, so upgrades are even. Oh my god! Oh, that was a good disruptor shot. Good disruptor shot. Blink forward to try and stop the Vikings from chasing down more Colossus. That is one thing ShoWTimE is missing right now. A good number of Stalkers. And his Phoenix were guarding against a would-be drop, so they were like, sorry? Huh? Are we late? Damn, that disruptor count has been growing, hasn't it? 7 disruptors available. Clem's not going to be able to easily punch through that. No, sir. I would suspect these last 4 medevacs that are popping out should be the last ones he creates. And then into Liberators. Because you also don't need more than 9 medevacs, I think. 4 base up for Clem. 5th base on the way. ShoWTimE, not a huge fan of DT Blink particularly quickly, although I think that Dark Shrine only just recently finished. Should be getting it soon. Also trying to make sure he doesn't found out of position. Another maybe bad Blink forward there. Clem's going to combine his entire army. He did have a little bit of a hit squad over the left side, or misrallied reinforcements, I don't know which one. But now they're all together. Still forcing yourself up 1 choke, up 1 ramp against this many disruptors seems like a potentially bad idea. Force fields cut off some of the supply. Charge lots actually getting up close and personal with the bio. But the Vikings are taking care of the Colossus, and the Colossus have gotten very few shots on, basically. With Clem pulling back and pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. So the charge lots get thinned out, the disruptors have to lose some of their shots, and the Colossus are no longer reliable. Clem thinking this might be an opportunity. 2-2 is done. 2-1 has finished up for ShoWTimE. About to have 3-1. As I was saying, Clem could probably start moving on to Liberators, and that's exactly what he did after 9 medevacs. So if you add Liberators to the end point of that battle, he is still leapfrogging forward and still going for the throat there. But forced to certainly respect. I'm still kind of surprised he forced it, but ShoWTimE thought he had an opportunity, came down from the ramp, came down from the choke. Got kind of worse after that. ShoWTimE is also double expanding. He did have a mineral bank, so top right and bottom left, one of these guaranteed to get up and running. Whoa! Clem almost getting force fielded. And now totally prepared to take the engagement. ShoWTimE has to be very careful with this. That is enough disruptors that you basically never run out of disruptor shots. If you throw 1 at a time, you don't. But even the pros are capable of panicking, let's be real. Oh, they just dropped the shots now. The scans looking for the army also managed to find that one pesky observer. A little less vision for ShoWTimE in the future. Clem, though, unfortunately, not with the knowledge of all these extra bases, isn't really getting the punish that maybe he could, would, should. He's sending a Liberator at the very least. That's a good touch. Zealot's also trying to find some damage on a very vulnerable third base, just skipping past this would-be planetary. +2 on the way for the ship weapons. These Liberators are going to get quite feisty. Fusion core is done. Liberator range is already finished. Clem does need to be back in control of the map, however. As ShoWTimE successfully brings Clem's army back, this would be ShoWTimE's time to then take some map control of his own and start to deal with the Liberators. Because here's the problem. The growing problem is 8 Liberators, 2 of which harass you, 2 stay at home to defend against the Zealots, and the rest of them with range and +2 siege up on one of your important bases. You just can't let that happen. The Vikings land to help this out? Okay. It is not a particularly strong planetary busting army, but the SCVs aren't repairing, so whatever. The planetary will be busted. But also the Nexus will be sacrificed. Clem is gunning for it. Now Clem has to be wary of not running right into a disruptor. ShoWTimE must know that Liberators will help siege up, defend the bases, but this is getting down and dirty. DT is killing a lot of SCVs. 2 planetaries now killed with the same force, and Clem is only now returning. It is so far a 2-2 trade with terms of the town halls, but the SCV count, abysmal for Clem. Army supply, fantastic for Clem, but can he actually make use of it? So many disruptors still in ShoWTimE's army. DT is not really all that impactful once they've been EMP'd, so it really is down to those disruptors, and Clem will hold. He does still have his 4th base planetary up here. He does still have multiple command centers, and that must have been one of his backup command centers, right? So he does have a lot of command centers to rebuild SCVs, and he doesn't need to rebuild them all that much. You know, getting it back up to 60 would probably be fine. Maybe even stop at 50, which is currently what he's doing. His army supply will be out the wazoo. His upgrades have also been done for a while at this point, so 3-3 versus 3-2, but again, it's so much about the disruptors. It's really the only thing you gotta be paying attention to. Freebie catch on a building orbital is nice for ShoWTimE, but he cannot engage the army. He thinks he might be able to. I think he's gotta be careful. And that's not the only army. Clem also divvying up his army, but then runs into all the charge lots. Phoenix still alive as well, forced to skedaddle back to the safety of the planetary. Army still being tracked by scans. Oh my god, Clem's gonna go for it. He realizes he can't kill all the disruptors. Last second split doesn't really help all that much. It is the Liberators that are firing away that's doing so much return damage, but the bio did not succeed in its goal. No, sir. No, no, no. But at the very least, Clem holds on to his 5-base setup. That was a Zealots run by, not DTs, so a little less threatening. And now ShoWTimE, I think he's going to, you know, wisely move on to at least the potential of making capital ships. He might not ever make them. The opportunity really is, you have to pick or one or the other, Mass Gateway or into those Tempests, but Mass Gateway might do the trick. Look at the amount of charge lots, good lord. That must have been 50 charge lots, now thinned down to 21, but still doing so much damage. Clem just wasn't expecting that. Definitely didn't have the prime concave available. No Widowmines, of course, either. And his Liberators, which would have done okay against them, were late to sieging up. And that might have been too bad of an engagement to take. Pretty much one bad engagement after another when ShoWTimE was still rich enough to actually afford rebuilding his army. And Clem's, forced to tap out. GG, ShoWTimE will bring it to a game for 5. It all comes down to this map. Top left, it is Clem. Bottom right, it is ShoWTimE. Got a little dicey in the last game. Very action-packed, very quick. But at that stage of the game, when the Protoss has Disruptors and the Terran has Liberators, vision is basically the most important thing, because what the most important thing is whether or not you react fast enough. So do your Disruptors shoot their balls? Do the Liberators siege up? And that comes down to lots of vision. As well as predictions. You know, how do you expect the rest of the game to go? I'd say both of them have a kind of equal chance of screwing up in the similar way. Not enough disruptor balls are thrown out before they get sniped. Not enough liberators siege up before they get sniped. But it was very important for ShoWTimE to create that bit of chaos as the liberator count was growing. And that is absolutely one downside of liberators. Ideally for Clem, I don't think he wants to go into a super late game PvT. Wanted to end that game a little bit earlier, but ShoWTimE refusing to buckle. Had a good read on the game. Apparently saw that 3cc pretty fast, and then dealt with the Marine push, easy peasy. And then it was just about making sure that he didn't make a very, very, very big fatal mistake, like letting drops into your main base. It was high-key the priority there. I expect ShoWTimE to do the same thing as far as open up with a Stargate, but he has gone Stargate Phoenix, Stargate Blink. Mostly still, like, depending on Colossus, not too many of the mass upgraded charge stalker games, right? Which he did use for a little while, maybe at the height of its meta, when it was the height of fashion. But now he's just felt very comfortable with the Stargate opener. So he also doesn't have a 4-gate, which I think is really the more concerning aspect of ShoWTimE's play, is that I don't think people are necessarily scared of him in the same sense. They're scared in his prowess. It's ShoWTimE, and he's very good, and you're not going to win against him just because you're confident against him. But, yeah, in the way that you kind of know what to expect from ShoWTimE a lot of his games, it probably is his biggest weakness. It still doesn't stop him from making it to the finals and winning series, and him winning championships is going to be difficult no matter what his style of play is, but yeah. We saw earlier with this from Ronda Rousey, by the way. Finally, the Reaper dies. We saw earlier that, you know, the simple fact that Skillous could change up his opener from Blink 2-gate expand to Blink 4-gate really bamboozled Hero Marine. The most that ShoWTimE can like really punish in the early game is maybe the Adept Oracle combination, and even that's not expected to win games. He just basically, he doesn't have a build, he doesn't use a build that will win early on. Clem still having struggles against the wall. Finding himself on the last game. I still favor Clem, I'm going to be honest. I am going to be honest. With the history between the two, favoring Clem. But ShoWTimE is once again brought the finals of an Open Cup to Game 5. See if he can change the result from last week in which he ended up losing Game 5. Maybe he'll win it this time. It is going to be Phoenix Colossus, but with a decently fast third base. So not super, super defensive or protected, sticking on your two bases. You know, then maybe you can consider foraging as well. As he has seen that his opponent once again went into a 3cc build. So figures he can get away with it, and is even going to not go directly into Robotics Bay. He's gonna have the Twilight Council and then Robotics Bay. Knowing that Clem's push isn't really gonna be all that impactful. And I kind of like the idea of trying to play 3cc against ShoWTimE, because you know you're going to get away with it. On the other hand, ShoWTimE is guaranteed to scout it fairly quickly with a Stargate opener. Hallucination would be faster, but Oracle's pretty fast too. So it's not that you're stealing money from the guy, right? You're not getting away with murder. Against someone who opens up Blink, 2 gates, cautious. Oh shit, it's a 3rd CC. That's a little more problematic for them. And there's Robotics Bay as well as the Forge. Charge coming out first is the Phoenix. Singular. The Phenai. I guess is enough to hold against any would-be drops. They're not going to happen for a while, so that's fine. But if Clem were to just suddenly go, you know what would be really good? A quad drop into the main. ShoWTimE might not have enough defense. Is that a triple forge? Oh, he canceled one. Okay. It was, and he canceled one. And the two oracles continuing to run around really should guarantee that no drop goes unnoticed, ideally. First little push outs on the way. ShoWTimE does not have a Colossus. Yes, he does. So that Colossus will full stop this push. Nothing that you can do about that. Not with the high ground and the shield battery. This base is what I was alluding to earlier on in the series. How you can take advantage of the ramp as well as still being near your shield battery. So, you know, you cut the Terran army in half. And maybe without the shield battery helping, they can kill some of your sentries or target the Colossus or something. No chance. 0 chance when the shield battery's there. Nice prediction with the stasis trap. Only grabs 3 units, so not the best one ever. But both oracles will survive and continue to detect where the army is incoming. So that was another purpose of the stasis trap. Maybe Clem is hoping that he will just be able to max out and push once to try and win the game. Certainly seen here Marine do that often enough versus some Protoss players. But it hasn't happened really that way so far. It's my nose so itchy. Having the camera on makes me self-conscious. 2 Phoenix guarding against those drops. Hell yeah. Vision with pylons, proxy gates, just setting up for the future for faster warpings for run-bys. I mean, we're getting set up pretty passively into a late-game PvT. Clem completely rejected from ever trying to do anything. Just everything he's tried to find ShoWTimE out of position for, ShoWTimE seeing him. And he did not decide to go into a quad drop just willy-nilly. So Blink is on the way. It will be done. Stalkers will eventually reinforce. In fact, they might be the next round of units that he reinforces with. Because right now he has 0. It's concerning. There we go. More Stalkers are on the way. Not that the Viking count is high enough to be truly concerning, but you know it's potentially just 3 more on the way, and 7 is a decent number. The Stalkers want to try and tear those down. Run by being set up. Love the supply depot there from Clem. It's a single zealot, but hey, it's better than nothing. And this looks like a position that Clem will not be able to take advantage of. You know what I would kind of like? I mean, it's not nearly as much of a gotcha as it can feel sometimes. But if you were to go into Liberators right now, after this one last Viking, I do wonder how effective that would be against someone like ShoWTimE, who is going to err on the side of caution and just stay at home and kind of let the game develop for a while longer, and then he'll get out on the map and be active. But for now, it is defensive. A lot of times, Terrans feel pretty much forced to go into Liberators because the other way of playing the game is not working out. Hey, Keybrit, thank you for the 26 months. Oracle damage on the 4th base, pretty cute. And the supply depot being rebuilt, Clem's going to pay attention to the potential for run bias. But now ShoWTimE feels like he is no longer captive. He is out on the map, and they have passed each other. 2 Vikings, sorry, finding the army awkwardly, not going to do much to help out. And now Clem is returning home as quick as a cat. 5th base has to be canceled. SCVs will certainly die. Force fields will come down, and that is pretty brutal. ShoWTimE, you're abusing your race. Quit it. Oh my god, disruptor shot as well. 1 Colossus does go down, but chase cannot happen when the Protoss still has disruptors. The chase should never be nearly as good as it could be. That said, Colossus just kind of run right into those Vikings. You know, thank you. When Colossus gets taken down. Third CC is landed again. SCVs didn't even really move all that much. They literally were working while under threat of alien attack. And it's like, well, you know, you gotta make a living. All right, then. Another engagement on this third base. Not nearly as many force fields. Not that there was that many to begin with, but literally only one this time around. All the Colossus are dead. Disruptors, though, that's still the trick. That's still the issue. As much as Clem would love to chase after this army, the Disruptors will not make it very good. A couple Liberators again would also be kind of helpful. I don't know, I kind of like Liberators at this point. 14 Vikings is certainly overkill at this stage. But I guess he was up to 4. No, he was up 3. Whatever. It is not worth talking about. The point is now, of course, 14 Vikings are not useful. ShoWTimE very much okay with not remaking Colossus at this point. Oh, nice EMP. Takes away the recall potential. Takes away the charge-in potential. Warp-in for the charge lots. And the Nexus will go down. Later, losers! Just 2 Phoenix here to guard. Opening up the opportunity for Clem's army to move up to the top right, by the way. ShoWTimE just tried to do a run-by, which apparently will work. Hey, even this half a second that the Zealots take up for Clem's army is a big deal. So, as something. Double drop forced to evacuate. ShoWTimE now in position to try and save his extra base. Forced to take a very haphazard engagement, though. The real power of his army is still absolutely Disruptors, so only Gateway's not gonna have a fun time. And the double drop finally getting cleared up. Finally! A couple of Zealots, literally the one went into the third base, and there's a lot of injured SCVs from earlier. Vikings have nothing much else to do, so they're gonna land and take care of that. And I would not I wouldn't mind literally 2 Vikings in each direction. Top, bottom, middle, just to go and harass. Because at this point, the Vikings need to be traded out. They are not helping. This army going to do its best. Once again, looking for a distraction more than anything else, as ShoWTimE has no vision down this particular attack path. Zealots slip by and DTs this time, so this will be turning into another base trade. Base trade! Are there Liberators on the way? No, there are not. Medivacs instead, so not the tightest lockup on Clem's production. His economy already in shreds, but Clem also digging into ShoWTimE's economy, killing 1 base, 2 base, and probably the main. No Disruptors that I can see coming forward. Some DTs, however, so ShoWTimE definitely has the 2 units that Protoss would want in this type of scenario. DTs and Disruptors, right? As long as they're well controlled. EMPs are available and they should be forced out, but Clem is clearly paying attention at multiple places, so he's not getting those EMPs when necessary. Still holding on to an army supply lead, but now mining basically off of nothing. ShoWTimE might lose a lot of his bases, but he has 1 base still fully mining. This one, I guess, is the last stand, and it is a good last stand. That is quite a few planetaries. DTs, I think, blinked on top of the bio, so Clem forced to respond to that, but does disengage, does get up to the high ground where a Liberator will prove to be problematic. And it looks like Clem's offensive army, which is just, it's just Vikings, really. It's so many Vikings. Continues on, massacring all the Nexus, full-on base trade mode as that planetary finally cracks, as well as its buddy planetary. Command center should also go down. The Stalkers just blink forward. He's going to try and take care of the Disruptors from the backside, 1 Marauder at a time. At the very least, baiting some of the Disruptor shots, but DTs and Stalkers blink forward there. So the command center will live, some SCVs as well. Here comes Clem's army. I don't know what the Vikings are going to do, but we're going to witness something special, aren't we? EMPs have got to come down to these DTs, take care of them. Once they're EMP'd, they are paper, but the Disruptors, how is it going to end? The Vikings land, the Disruptors go for gold, and Clem is going to lose. Vikings! GG. ShoWTimE does take game number 5.